Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Grab yourself a cup of tea and let's talk some boxing now. Jazza Dickens versus Kid Galahad for the IBF featherweight title. Kid Galahad has been able to secure that long-awaited world title by winning in the 11th round. Jazza Dickens just took too much and wasn't able to continue. He was in no state to continue. Probably a broken nose and cuts as well. It was just going to be too much. You could see in the fight that Jazza Dickens had his moments. I mean, when he was moving more and offering angles, he made it a little bit more difficult for Kid Galahad to pin him down. But the problem was, Galahad was in his face all the time, and he was moving well also. I mean, if you look at Kid Galahad's face at the end, he wasn't marked up all that much at all. And that was just because he was able to evade what Jazza Dickens threw at him, but also make Jazza Dickens pay. So anytime Dickens managed to land a shot here and there, or he was getting into range, Kid Galahad made him pay. It wasn't like you go then I go. It was like Kid Galahad had that jab out there all the time. He was landing swift shots all the time as well. And anytime that Dickens had any success, Kid Galahad responded. And he responded quickly, he backed him up, he pushed him back, he was using angles as well. Just making it a horrible night at the office for Dickens. I think that Kid Galahad really shown his world-class ability in this contest. I think that the levels did show when it comes to that. I mean, a Warrington rematch could be on the cards later down the line, provided Warrington is able to get the victory over Lara in his much-anticipated rematch. I mean, that is going to be a great fight if they are able to get that one on. But at the moment for Kid Galahad, the important thing is he's gotten the victory and become a world champion. I believe that Kid Galahad can go all the way. I think that he can go on and unify. He's definitely shown his class in this particular contest. He's shown what he is capable of doing. It was a world-class performance and barely put a foot wrong, I would say, in this one. I mean, he did get caught here and there. There was that one moment where he got caught by a combination, and maybe that was just him falling asleep for a little bit, maybe not expecting that from Dickens because he was in control, and Dickens did step on it. So that's shown that he wasn't ever going to give up in this contest. He didn't stop, he tried to win, and you have to hand it to Jazza Dickens for continuing, keeping going, and refusing to quit, because that was an extremely tough night for him, yet he still tried up until that 11th round, up until the end of it, when the fight was stopped. So you can take nothing away from him and his fighting spirit just to keep plugging away, but it just seemed all too much for him. Kid Galahad just had too many angles, too many dimensions, and he was able to shift through the gears and make it extremely difficult for Dickens to find anything in this contest. But when there is that type of fighter in front of Kid Galahad, it is also not easy for him to stay on it. And at times, you could see him switch off. I mean, there was that one moment, but aside from that, there weren't any other moments where you saw Kid Galahad switch off and allow Jazza Dickens a shot here and there, giving shots away. He didn't do that all too often, which is very important as well, because it is one thing to be in control, it is one thing to be having that kind of performance over his opponent, but it's another thing as well to be able to maintain it and not allow them to have one moment here and there where they can change the fight completely. Because how many times have we seen it in boxing where one guy's in control, one guy's winning, but then all of a sudden they just have that one moment where they have a lapse in concentration and it does cost them everything. They can get caught, they can get stopped. This is boxing, all it takes is one punch. And another thing that I did notice in this one is Dickens did land a good shot. He landed a sharp counter and Kid Galahad took it and just moved forwards. It is very discouraging for a fighter to land their best shot and for their opponent to just keep moving forwards, to walk through it, to say, yeah, okay, fair enough, but I'm right back on you now. And that's what Kid Galahad done. He wasn't going to allow Dickens to find any way to set his feet. He wasn't going to allow him any time, any moment to rest. He just wanted to pin him back all the time. He was boxing well, moving, using angles, but also he was applying pressure. So all in all, it was a very well-rounded performance from Kid Galahad. And I don't know about you guys, but provided Warrington is able to get the victory in his return match against Lara, I do definitely want to see that rematch. I mean, a lot of things do depend on that, like obviously Warrington winning, and maybe a few other things, because Warrington won't be even a world champion if he beats Lara because he relinquished that world title, the world title that Kid Galahad has now just won. So there is obviously that situation as well. Would they want to do the rematch with Kid Galahad now as champion and Warrington then as a challenger, like it was for Kid Galahad last time around, because Warrington was champion, Kid Galahad was the challenger. This time though, it is a bit different for the same world title, but the roles are reversed. So would they want to align it so that Warrington wins a world championship, then they do the rematch for a unification? I would imagine that that is the route they take. We could even see the winner of Warrington Lara, well, more likely Warrington if he is to win, stepping in with say Lee Wood. If Lee Wood wins his return match against Kanzu, because apparently there was a rematch clause, so there might be a rematch between those two before Lee Wood is able to go on to maybe a Warrington, maybe even a Kid Galahad himself. But they are all on the same platform, so it seems like it would be easy for them to make fights like that. And that's what we want to see, the best fighting the best. We got to see a good one in Dickens versus Galahad. Now, there is plenty of potential for Galahad Warrington, Galahad Lee Wood, Wood versus Warrington. I would imagine that they will do it that way. They would rather do it Warrington Wood than Warrington versus Kid Galahad if he is able to beat Lee Wood, because obviously they will be looking at things from a commercial side of it, so they will want to build towards the biggest fight they can possibly make, which would be a rematch between Warrington and Kid Galahad. If they could do that for a unification as well, then it is just going to put a cherry on the top. But Lee Wood will be busy with a rematch with Kanzu. He needs to try and win that, and there is no guarantee that Warrington is going to win his rematch. Then, even if he is, there is no guarantee he can beat Lee Wood. So there is a good chance for them to put some good fights together in that featherweight division. Great for Kid Galahad, now a world champion. He can move on to some of the bigger fights in the featherweight division. Good show, and I believe that Alen Babic was entertaining as always. Ebony Bridges got a victory as well. Maybe she finally gets that Shannon Courtney rematch. Alen Babic always brings entertainment and he is always in exciting fights. We're going to see him go through the levels and we're going to wonder, how is he going to hack it when he does get to that certain level, when someone is good enough to be able to control him? It will be interesting to see how he can adjust, because he is very entertaining, he does come forward, gives value for money, is in good fights, but when he does that against someone, as I said, who is able to control him, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Dillian Whyte was actually there at the event, and he said in an interview, he's wondering whether he's going to stay at heavyweight, go to bridgerweight, maybe cruiserweight, because he said that when he goes through the levels, it could get quite difficult. They are looking at ways they can guide Alen Babic in the right direction, because he's fine in fights like this, and that is how it will remain at the moment. They are not going to push him too quickly, but as he starts stepping up, it will get a lot more difficult. Anyway guys, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also leave a like and grab that subscribe button. Thanks guys.